The Operation Epic Fury is concluded. We achieved the objectives of that operation.
Has America just admitted defeat? Operation Epic Fury is over. The Iran war wrapped up without a clear win on the battlefield. Hormuz is still blocked, Iran still has missiles, and there's no nuclear deal. If that's the scoreboard, did Washington just lose this war? And now Trump has even hit pause on Project Freedom, the mission to guide stranded cargo ships through the Strait of Hormuz. So did Iran just walk away claiming victory, while Israel and key Arab allies are left exposed and Trump heads for the exit? Amid soaring tensions with Iran, Donald Trump's top diplomat has dropped a political bombshell in Washington, confirming a major shift in the U.S. war strategy. From the White House podium, Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared victory and announced that Operation Epic Fury is officially over, as attention now swings to Project Freedom. Rubio said the Iran campaign has entered what he called a new phase, with Washington pivoting from full-scale strikes to a mission focused on securing the Strait of Hormuz. He insisted that Project Freedom is now the centerpiece of U.S. policy in the Gulf, aimed at protecting commercial shipping and keeping one of the world's most vital choke points open.
Operation Epic Fury is concluded. We achieved the objectives of that operation. I'm not going to, we're not cheering for an additional situation to occur. We would prefer the path of peace. What the president would prefer is a deal. He would prefer to sit down, work out a memorandum of understanding for future negotiations that touches on all the key topics that have to be addressed, a full opening of the strait so the world can get back to normal. He preferred that be negotiated through the route that Steve and Jared have been working and that all of us have been supporting. That's the route he prefers. That is so far not the route that Iran has chosen. And so the result has been that the United States has to do something about the fact that we're the only nation on earth that can do anything to open up a lane within the Straits of Hormuz to get product and to rescue these people that are trapped in there. And that's what we're undergoing now. What that may lead to in the future is speculative. I'm not going to speculate about what it would take or what it would do. But look, the message to Iran, these guys are facing, they are facing real catastrophic destruction to their economy, generational destruction to their economy, generational destruction to the wealth of their country, imposed on themselves by the actions that they're taking. They should check themselves before they wreck themselves in the direction that they're going.
Meanwhile, President Trump has abruptly halted Project Freedom, just one day after announcing the high-stakes mission to break Iran's grip on the Gulf. The U.S. had launched Project Freedom to shepherd stranded cargo ships through the mined, missile-threatened Strait of Hormuz as Iran's blockade choked off global trade. But on day one of the mission, Iran allegedly hit back hard, bombing the UAE's Fujairah and multiple cargo vessels, turning the Gulf's rescue operation into a fresh crisis at sea. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "Based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, the tremendous military success that we have had during the campaign against the country of Iran, and additionally, the fact that great progress has been made toward a complete and final agreement with representatives of Iran, we have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force and effect, Project Freedom, the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed." Unquote. The announcement came right after President Donald Trump sent a formal update on the Iran war to the U.S. Congress. Trump told lawmakers that Operation Epic Fury was conducted within the limits of the War Powers Act of 1973, insisting he had stayed inside the law. Under that act, any U.S. president must report significant military action to Congress within a 60-day window or risk losing legal authority for the operation. Trump argued that the mutual ceasefire with Iran meant the 60-day deadline was never breached because active hostilities had effectively stopped. He went further, saying the war had terminated in effect once the ceasefire took hold on April 7, even though U.S. forces stayed in the region. Despite that, reports from the Gulf said Iranian forces opened fire on U.S. warships earlier this week, testing the fragile truce at sea. The U.S. military says it hit back quickly, destroying several Iranian attack boats in the exchange, according to Central Command. CENTCOM Chief Brad Cooper briefed that 6 small Iranian vessels were neutralized in the incident, preventing them from closing in on American ships. In Tehran, Parliamentary Speaker Mohammad Bagher Kalibaf condemned the U.S. strikes, calling them a clear violation of the ceasefire agreement. At the Pentagon, spokesman Dan Kane warned that thousands of civilian mariners remain stranded on tankers and cargo vessels across the Gulf. Rubio acknowledged that reality, arguing that Project Freedom is essential to push back against Iran's tactics and to get those ships and sailors safely home. Donald Trump has announced the launch of Project Freedom, a UN-led initiative aimed at helping dozens of merchant ships stranded in and around the Strait of Hormuz, starting from May 4th. Trump described the operation as a humanitarian gesture intended to assist neutral country vessels and their crews caught in the war zone, many of which are running low on supplies while waiting for safe passage. However, U.S. officials later clarified to outlets such as the Wall Street Journal that Project Freedom would not involve direct naval escorts in the way his initial remarks implied. Instead, the White House outlined the creation of a maritime coordination cell that will identify and share safe routes through the strait, clear of mines and high-risk areas, while coordinating with commercial shipping lines and allied navies. This signals a more limited, advisory role for the U.S. military than the image of warships physically shepherding tankers through the choke point that Trump's announcement initially suggested. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "For the good of Iran, the Middle East, and the United States, we have told these countries that we will guide their ships safely out of these restricted waterways, so that they can freely and ably get on with their business. Many of these ships are running low on food, and everything else necessary for large-scale crews to stay on board in a healthy and sanitary manner." Unquote.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.